Packers at Steelers. Aaron Rodgers, first game against Green Bay. He said it's nothing but love. It's not a revenge game for him. He said, hey, I spent the best years of my life there, and it's all good. Still keeps in touch with Jordan Love. You know, they still talk about common opponents. So do you believe Aaron Rodgers is telling the truth, or do you believe he wants to go out there and stick it to the Packers?
I think both things can be true.
Okay.
I think
all right.
He said he wants to retire a Packer. He said, like to what you said, he said, hell, they made me a ton of money when I was there, 18 years. He didn't leave on the best of terms, but whoever leaves on the best of terms, from anything, anything that you want to keep doing, I think, hopefully the Green Bay fan will embrace Rodgers when it's all said and done. 18 seasons there. It's hard to believe, as good a quarterback as he's been and as good a teams as they had, or that you thought they had, only one Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You got a guy who won the NFL MVP 4 times, but only won 1 Super Bowl. And that's, he said he's pretty sure this is his last season in Pittsburgh. I Googled I was looking, we're going to talk about this game. I Googled North. Okay. Just like, I don't know if it didn't pick up AFC North or NFC North or whatever. North. So, the first thing that came up was
snow.
Oliver North.
Oh no.
Did you know that Oliver, I didn't know this. Did you know that Oliver North and Fawn Hall recently got married?
Now, who's Fawn Hall?
Fawn Hall was his secretary who helped him shred all the Iran-Contra documents.
Well, hey, if she's ride or die like that, yeah, okay. I mean, if she's ride or die like that, why wouldn't he marry her?
Oh my, yeah, love conquers all. So the kids out there are going, who the hell are they talking about? Google Oliver North and Fawn Hall. I mean, that was a controversy back in the day, and I couldn't believe they got married. And then I'm like, all right, let's get back to the North that I want to know about. Packers,
all because you just put in North and
Oliver North came up. I'm like, what's Oliver North up to? I haven't heard about him in forever. And married Fawn Hall. I like, wow. Listen, the Packers were lucky to get by Arizona. So that's another team that, they opened the season beating Detroit, and everybody's like, okay, the Packers are in the Super Bowl for the NFC. And then all of a sudden, a few more games in, okay, maybe we were a little quick on that one. Love can chuck it deep. Steelers defense, so. I think the Rodgers factor swings it. It's basically Rodgers or Jordan Love. You know where I stand on that. Old guys rule. I think the Steelers get that. You know what I was reading too about it, nothing to do with Iran-Contra, was Mike Tomlin, and there's some talk about Mike Tomlin's always wins 9-10 games.
Absolutely, every time.
But he doesn't win a playoff game.
Right. I mean, the knock has always been Tomlin will get you to the playoffs, but he might not win a playoff game. Now, he does have one Super Bowl, but, you got to keep in mind, same thing with Rodgers and Tomlin.
Yeah.
All these guys have been in the Brady era. You know what I mean? They spent the bulk of their careers in the Brady era, and playing in the Brady era in the NFL, sort of like playing in the Jordan era in the NBA. A lot of guys who probably deserve rings don't get them because there's one guy hogging all of them. The way Jordan did them, Karl Malone and Barkley and, all those guys who don't have rings, who are in Patrick Ewing or NBA greats because Jordan was hogging them. And so now Brady was the same thing. So now there's a window now for Rodgers to try to get it done one more time before he hangs him up. But watch out for Josh Jacobs in that game. He's got 2 touchdowns in each of his past 3 games. And it's a real relief for Love to be able to just turn around and hand it to Jacobs and let Jacobs do his thing. So he's got to watch in that game. All right, Bill, I'm really intrigued by this game now. The 4-2 Bills going to Carolina to take on the Panthers, who are 4-3 all of a sudden. Buffalo lost 2 in a row to the Patriots and to the Falcons, coming off a bye. Josh Allen's great off by 7-0 off the bye. What do you think about that one? Look, Buffalo, they could lose that game if they're not careful.
Well, if they lose that game, then they're frauds, okay? Because Carolina is a team that they should handle. Carolina's won 3 of its last 4, but one of those was against the Jets. So you got to take that for what it's worth. And it wasn't like they beat the hell out of the Jets. I think it was 13-7 or 13-6.
Yep.
Buffalo needs to show up. I need to see him not in a commercial trying to sell me a sleeper set or SoFi banking. I just want to see Josh Allen in the end zone and throwing touchdown passes, not having to carry that whole team. He needs some offensive help from some other. He can't be the only playmaker on that team. My bigger question isn't if Buffalo will beat Carolina. Is Buffalo better than New England in that conference? That's the big question, because coming in, the answer was a resounding yes. And now we're in week 8, and the fact that we're asking that question means Buffalo has not lived up to its expectations, and New England may have already exceeded expectations.
Absolutely. Here's the key stat, though. Well, I'll first preface it with all the injury news for Buffalo. Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, two of their best linebackers, banged up. Okay, Taylor Rapp, one of their safeties, he's going on IR. Okay, so they are banged up on defense. Not that they were good before that against the run. They are 31st against the run, giving up 156 yards per game. And Rico Dowdle was running like a madman for Carolina the last few games. And now Chuba Hubbard is back as well. And so they say they may use what they call their pony formation, where they're both in the game. And Carolina's risen to 3rd in the NFL in rushing. So their strength plays right into Buffalo's weakness when they were healthy. And now that they're all banged up, they could be even worse. So Carolina might just saddle it up with those two running backs and just run right at the Bills. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can handle that. But definitely something to watch in that game.
Yeah, Buffalo's got to sell out on the run and make Bryce Young, peer over the offensive and defensive front and see if he can beat you with his arm or his legs, but on a scramble. But yeah, they're going to have to pick their poison. And it sounds like, if Carolina's going to tell you this is our game plan, well, that's an advantage for Buffalo's defense, unless it's
if you can stop it. If you can stop. I mean, sometimes you know what's coming. You just can't stop it, And Bryce Young dealing with an ankle. I think he's going to try to go, but they got Andy Dalton queued up and ready to go in case Young and that ankle won't let him go. All right.
That answers Giants the question. That answers the question, is Andy Dalton still in the league? Yes.
Who he play for?
Yeah.